What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. It is Throwback Thursday, y'all. So y'all know what that is, where I take it way back into time. It's one of my favorite days to create content. And there's this clip that's going all over social media right now where somebody asked Beyonce in the crowd of her worldwide Renaissance tour. And somebody's like, where are the visuals? And she points to them and she goes, "You are the visuals, baby." She shakes her head and smiles and walks off the stage. Killed it, right? So I want to dedicate this Throwback Thursday to Beyonce's movies because she is one of the greatest entertainers of our time. Okay. Some people like her movies, some people don't. And that's okay. Everyone's different, right? I don't think she's the best actress in the world. I feel like she's one of the greatest entertainers of our generation. So she can, be mediocre in some aspects, right? She doesn't have to be all across the board a strong triple threat. She has multiple Grammys, but she doesn't have an EGOT. And that's okay, right? But Dreamgirls is definitely one of my favorite movies. Even the old school, original Dreamgirls with Shirley Ralph, Loretta Devine, and Jennifer Holliday and Deborah Burrell. So they came out on a Broadway play in 1982. And now we have, of course, the reboot rendition of Dreamgirls, and it stars super talented Jennifer Hudson, Beyonce Knowles, and Anika Noni Rose, who's my favorite Disney princess, right? She played Tiana in Princess and the Frog. So all of them have gorgeous voices. But this movie came out in 2006, and it was written and directed by Bill Condon. And it's based on the life of the Supremes. And if you guys don't know about the Supremes, Diana Ross, okay, she definitely was the lead because of her relationship with Berry Gordy, but we'll get into that in a second. So this story follows the history and evolution of the American R&B music during the 60s and the 70s through the eyes of a Detroit girl group known as the Dreams and their really shady, shisty record executive. So not only are the three Dreamgirls extremely talented, they also have, for the film adaptation of the Broadway play, just a remarkable ensemble cast. Jamie Foxx, we have Eddie Murphy, Danny Glover, Keith Robinson. They were all the men in the supporting roles. So the film takes place in 1962, Detroit, Michigan, where a young car salesman, Curtis Taylor Jr., meets a Black girl group known as the Dreamettes, consisting of lead singer Effie White and then backup singers Dina Jones and Laurel Robinson. They all met at an amateur talent show at the Detroit Theater. He was presenting them himself as their new manager, and he recruits them as backup singers for the star Jimmy Thunder Early, and they were going on the Chitlin circuit. So if you guys aren't familiar with the Chitlin circuit, it was basically, where Black folks would have talent shows and they would perform at different underground spots, juke joints, hot spots. The Apollo Theater was, I think, the most famous landmark on the Chitlin circuit, but back then, of course, the 50s, 60s, 70s, things were still legally segregated. So we created our own, and that was known on the underground music scene as the Chitlin circuit. Think of Tyler Perry and his plays before he became more mainstream, because that's how he made the most of his, the bulk of his popularity before becoming more well known in the dominant regions. Okay, so Curtis soon starts his own record label titled Rainbow Records out of his Detroit car dealership, appointing Effie's brother CeCe the head songwriter. So when the first single, Cadillac Car, it fails, After a white pop group, Dave and a Sweetheart, releases a cover version, Curtis, Cece, and the producer turn to payola to make Jimmy Earl and the Dreamettes mainstream pop stars. Then off stage, Effie falls in love with Curtis while the married Jimmy does likewise with Laurel. So, of course, this show is messy, okay? It's filled with music and mess. Love it. Jimmy's manager, Marty Madison, he grows weary of Curtis's plans to make his client more pop friendly and he walks out. And I don't blame him, okay? Everything doesn't need to be crossover all the time. But when Jimmy bombs in front of the Miami Beach Supper Club, which is an all-white audience, Curtis sends him out on the road alone, keeping the Dreamettes behind to headlight in his place. So he basically, appoints them the headliners, which of course, Jimmy's really upset about that. Then he switches around the lead singer and appoints a slimmer, more conventionally attractive Dina as the lead singer, renaming them the Dreams. He feels that Effie, being a plus-size woman, and her distinctive soulful voice will not attract white audiences, whereas Dina's voice is more marketable. So of course, this breaks Effie's heart. And in 1965, he ends up just completely dropping her altogether after she shows them that, that's hurtful. She was sad and upset about it, right? So he hires the secretary, Michelle Morris, to replace her in 1996 at the New Year's Eve debut in Las Vegas and titles it Dina Jones and the Dreams. Now, Dina, or Effie, I should say, is pregnant with Curtis's child, but she keeps that to herself. She keeps it a secret. So by 1973, she's really struggling and she's living in Detroit with her daughter, Magic. To restart her music career, she hires Marty as her manager and she begins performing at local clubs. So by this time, the Dreams have become, big superstars, and Rainbow Records, they moved to Los Angeles and now they're, really making a lot of money and fame. So Curtis pitches a film about Cleopatra to star Dina, who now he's married to. And unfortunately, Jimmy falls into, a really deep depression and he gets hooked on illegal substances and he's having a really hard time. And he goes on to try to do a soulful act by himself. And he gets embarrassed because he does something really, he drops his pants, basically. So in the meantime, Cece, who feels that Curtis is undermining his songs by trying to constantly turn his artistic music into disco hits, he leaves and he quits. And then everybody learns that Jimmy, he doesn't make it. Unfortunately, he succumbs to the substance that he's abusing. So Cece then leaves Los Angeles and she reconciles, or he reconciles with Effie in Detroit. Sorry, every single Cece I know outside of this movie is a woman, so that's why I said I love the name Cece, by the way. But basically, what happens is, Dina and Effie, they reconcile, and Effie tells her that Curtis is Magic's father, her daughter's father, and they force Curtis to, nationally distribute Effie's record in order to avoid being reported to the FBI. So, inspired by Effie's, struggle and her truth of overcoming, she leaves Curtis and she vows to start over like Effie did. And then 1975, the girls come together again to give a farewell performance at the Detroit Theater, inviting Effie to sing their final song. And then by then, Curtis notices his daughter in the front row. And that's when he comes to the realization, like, oh, so then he hopefully steps up. But that's where the movie ends. And yeah, it's one of my favorites. I love the singing. They're all messy, but life is messy. So life reflects art as art reflects life. I hope you guys enjoyed the first Throwback Thursday video. Please be sure to like it. It's a free way to support the channel. Also, if you're new here, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I will talk with you later. Take care, Aces. Bye.